Alright, holy cow, does this camera eat the batteries. Let's see here. I went ahead and while I was off camera cleaned up that other shim, and it looks like my best fit is actually going to be to put the two old shims back in. It gives me, for what I measured, I took the clamp off here, so they would fit in before, and now they don't fit in, so there we go. That gives you an idea that there is some slop in there. Part of the reason to either lift it with a jack or put the clamp on it. Anyway, I'm within 2 thousandths, which is going to have to be close enough. I don't have any combination of shims there unless I go right to 40 with 5 shims. And I suppose I could do that, but I kind of hate to. I'd almost rather have shims left over than come up. Yeah, see, that's a little too tight. Okay. I'm going to go with this. Anyway, they're still pretty solid. Most of the time you'll find these worn through or rusted out completely, and you may not have the option to use the old ones. Okay, so I got a wooden drift here, dowel, to tap the Kingpin back out with. I don't want to, really don't want to inject, any metal chips, or certainly don't want to bang up the end here and that stuff. Okay, now, what I started to say at the end of the other video there is the book is not real clear, and I have not found anybody else to tell me for sure. I have found 1 or 2 references on other vehicles and stuff. I found it both ways. Question is where do the shims go? Okay, do the shims go on the top? What the book says is lift it up, figure out your shim pack. It does not say where to put the shim pack. Okay, my thought, this is the way I'm going to set it up. It will work either way, but if somebody else can tell me absolutely for sure that it goes the other way, I will do it differently next time. But these shims, we'll look at the new one here. Whoops. That shim matches the bottom perch, the bottom pad of this bearing perfectly. I mean, perfectly. My take on this is I want the shim pack under the bearing, okay? It could go on top. It really doesn't matter. It fits there so nicely and everything. But what it is if you put it on the top, then you're going to have shims that don't really get much grease squeezed into there, and they're going to be rubbing back and forth. And those little shims, those suckers are going to wear out, rust, get worn thin and everything like that, and basically get annihilated. The metal on metal here, okay, the little bit of wear there, the grease will squeeze in between these 2 blocks without too much problem. It just, if you have a shim pack of 5, you have a big shim pack, you're not going to get grease in between these. And at some point as they dry out, you're going to have these shims rubbing on each other. Okay, that's the part I don't like. That's where all the wear is going to come in that stuff, because they're going to act as a bearing surface every time this moves back and forth. There won't be a great deal of weight, but there'll be some friction moving back and forth. They're not just going to float in there and be all nice and free. So what I want to do is put the shim pack under the bearing. Okay, the shim pack will rotate with this, but it won't slide against it. The bearing will rotate with it. So the shim will not get worn. Once it's in there, the shim will never move in relationship between the bearing and the spindle. Okay, then the dog bone sits on this side here, and there's nothing there to wear. You have a slight gap up at the top. No big deal, because as you squeeze grease in there, the cap at the top will stop it from coming out, and it will tend to force some in here. That should be plenty. So, let's see if we can try to get it back together here. I want to, and that's another thing too, is by doing it that way, I can have the Kingpin register on all that. And, oops, get the Kingpin through there a little too far. And that holds the shims and everything in place. Give it a little wiggle and rotation here. And basically try to work it around a little bit by feel. Oh, there we go. Hopefully I kept that flat spot pretty darn close. Okay, I got it started in the... and I kind of see the flat spot. Yeah, looks like it's going to be pretty close. Okay. Brass turf, I'm just going to lightly... Okay, and I'm looking to get that fairly close to center there. Let's take a screwdriver here. All right, there we go. Okay, what I did was I just pried on the, it was angled like this in the hole. So I pried on the back part there and it caused it to rotate. So that's pretty much perfect. Let me find the cotter bolt. All right. Okay, here's the cotter bolt. Wow. That one's been put in once before and needs a little TLC, excuse me. Okay, which side does the cotter bolt go on? The cotter bolt, as it's standing up here, this side is not... Hopefully all this stuff is staying in frame and everything. This side is not machined, okay? So the cotter bolt's going to go in from this side because there's no head there to worry about, okay? But on the other side, there is a machine spot, so that's where the lock washer and the nut's going to go. So I am going to... I'm going to call this good for a minute and not go any further. This has got a little bruise here on the end from somebody else trying to put it in once. I got to clean that up. The other thing that just dawned on me here too is I need to push it back apart, take it back apart, and do what I talked about in the other video. Pull these grease fittings out and clean that old grease out. Otherwise, I'm going to do exactly what I said I didn't want to do, and I'm going to shove old grease in there. So I'll take that apart. Basically, from this point, if it was ready to go, you put the cotter bolt in. Then you're ready basically to put the end caps on. Okay, that's not that big a deal, but that's pretty much all that's left to do. I'll go over that too. But basically, you got an end cap there that it's a grease seal. It goes in there. You got to hammer it in, tap it in, stake it a little bit, just to keep the grease from just blowing out the ends there. Plus, to keep the water and moisture out and stuff. This one's 90% done. I'm going to pull it apart, take care of that stuff, and I may just set it aside before I put the grease caps on, and I may work on some of the I may do the other spindle too, because if I need to change something up with the shim pack, or if I hear word back or something that says, no, don't do it this way, with the spacers, then I can do it. I can take it apart and change that back up. So I think I'm just going to set it aside. See, that actually rolls real smooth, and there really isn't any play at all there in the Kingpin. So, all right, just rambling. Let's stop this and work on something else.